everybody. So, oh great, I thought this might happen. We've got a motorbike on the go. Is this a motorbike or is it a thing? I'll let them know I'm here. Put the light on for a minute. Standing aside, wait for them to come past. It's a bit of it's a bike. Right mate, let's let them come past. Right, turn that off again. Right everybody, how you all doing? The first, it's going to keep switching off and on. Because I'm in partial light, the night vision keeps switching on and off. It'll be alright in a bit, it'll steady off in a bit. Sorry about that. It's automatic, so if I get a bit of light, it goes on and off, on and off, on and off. So yeah, welcome to the first Vindicator Strikes Back evening walk. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully the night vision is not going to go mental. It's got all the lights up there. All the lights up there. This is the sensor on it is so sensitive that it switches the night vision off. So when we get around this corner, it should stabilise a little bit. It's starting to stabilise a little bit now. He says, and then it goes off again. Right, I'll switch the light on a little bit so you can see my face. There you go. There we go. Right, when we get around this corner, we should be all right. Turn that off. There you go. Right, hopefully we should be all right now. It's heading into proper darkness around here. So we'll see what happens, guys. This is experimental, so we'll see what happens when we're going around it. It's fairly dark around here, so we should be all right. Really dark. Yeah, there we go. I'm not going to put the head torch on, just in case it affects the night vision. But yeah, hopefully the sound's coming through all right. I'm just going to let my eyes adjust to the dark. Yeah. Here we go. Just gotta be careful around here because there's loads of bricks and boulders and stuff. I'll break my ankles. So, let's talk about my favourite subject at the minute, because it's been the topic of the day really. Is lefties are too dumb to insult. That's my takeaway from today's interaction with them. I know you lot have probably already come to that conclusion. But, you know, I used to think maybe there's just one or two out there that aren't thick and that you can actually have a conversation with. No, I was wrong, totally wrong. You can't have a conversation with anyone. They're all just morons. Right, so what started it off? I was having a conversation. Not having a conversation. There was a girl on X, and she posted a picture with herself holding the St George's Cross flag up and saying that she was proud to be English. Obviously this immediately triggered all the lefties. All the lefties got triggered by this, and you know, you could tell they were just chomping at the bit to attack, and they couldn't really argue, because how can you argue against patriotism? You know, what can you do? I mean, you can do what they usually do. You could call her a Nazi or a fascist, but it's not really an argument in that case, and it'd just be quickly be dismissed. So what did they do? They went after a spelling. So in the post, she'd spelt George wrong in St George. So they all piled on her. There were literally thousands piling on her for the spelling mistake, calling her thick, a thick C word, and all that kind of stuff. So I just charged in there. I charged in there. And one of the prolific ones, I just gave them a back and forth. And I said, you know, you do realise that she might be dyslexic. Have you thought about that? She could be dyslexic, and you've just charged in there, gung ho, and called her a thick C-U-N-T. And I thought you people were supposed to be tolerant. I thought you were supposed to be tolerant of different people, especially if people might have disabilities or hidden disabilities that they don't particularly want to share with people. But no, you just rode straight in there and called her a thick C-U-N-T just because she's on the political opposite side of the spectrum. to you. And this is what they are. They're just vile, disgusting human beings. All of them. All of them are. None of them have an argument. They don't have an ounce of intelligence among them. You know, they brag, oh, I've been to university. You'll see it. I've been to university, I've got a university degree. And then it's probably just a pointless, useless degree, like a degree in Peruvian basket weaving or something like that. And now that somehow makes them think they're intellectually superior to people, when the reality is quite the opposite. They're as thick as pig poo in that regard. And that's the case, isn't it, really? You know, they automatically think they're intelligent because they've been to university, when at the minute the reverse is true. I think if you've been to university, it's kind of like a badge of honour to show how thick you actually are, in some respects, unless it's a proper degree, like something in medicine or engineering or science. But even then, those people can still be thick when they talk about subjects outside of their field that they have no experience in. Because that's the big thing with these people. A lot of them don't have any real world experience. Take a look at those two girls that I had a conversation with in Southampton. They didn't have a clue. They didn't have a clue. They came up there and they called those people up there that were protesting for their rights, for their safety. They just don't realise that. They called those people and said, well, they haven't got 12 brain cells between them. And it's this false sense of superiority, this false sense of superior intellectual superiority that they think they have. But in reality, they don't. You saw from that video yesterday, the guy in the yellow. He walked past, he called James Holmes and the rest of the guys that were doing that event in Chesterfield. He called them all arseholes. And then a racist. He called them racist. He called me a racist as well. And when I challenged him on it, I said, well, why am I racist? They can't respond. He turned around, they told me to F off. It's like, that's the only response you've got. And like I said in the video, it's like when you're challenged on your actual positions, you've got no response because you've got no intelligence, you've got no argument to come back with, because it's just meaningless. It's just a buzzword. It carries no weight because there's absolutely no truth to what you're saying behind it. There isn't. They can't prove it. Well, they can't prove it because they don't know me. And the fact is, you'll see them all the time. They'll use this argument all the time. They'll say, you're full of hatred and anger. And it's like, I'm not the one walking up to complete strangers in the street and calling them racist and arseholes, mate. That's you. And that's a big factor in all of this. This is these people projecting their own personality onto you. That's what they do. And it's like another guy on X today called me a fascist. So I said, no mate, sorry, I'm not a fascist, I'm not an Italian unionist. And he was gobsmacked. He couldn't respond with anything. He couldn't come back with anything because he hadn't thought it through. He didn't have an argument other than to use a buzzword to try and smear me. And when that buzzword is called out and you scrutinise it, they've got no response because it's vapid. There's no meaning behind it. No meaning behind it at all. And they conflate fascism with Nazism because they're two completely different ideologies. They share similarities, but they're completely different ideologies. Fascism isn't the same as Nazism. It's not. So they're just thick. They're too dumb to insult. 100% too dumb to insult. I'm trying to think of some other examples of people I've met on the internet. They're just dumb, absolutely dumb. They throw out an insult at you, and it's meaningless to me. It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything at all. Because when I've written an argument out in response to somebody, and then some moron comes along and just says twat, that has no effect on me, because all I do is mute the person. I mute them, that's the end of them, and never hear from them again. That's about as much attention as they get from me. Now if you call me a twat and you come with an argument, it's a different matter, because I can get over the twat part and then deal with the argument, tear it apart and make it look stupid. That's what I do with these lefties. Tear their arguments apart and make them look stupid. Because they were arguing, that was it. That was the other argument they were using. The old one on that girl's post. They were saying, you do know that St. George wasn't English, don't you? And it's like, yeah, so what? It shows, even back then, we were tolerant. We had tolerance that we could take a foreign person and make them our patron saint because we respected their strength and courage. That's why we made him our patron saint. And then I pointed out, I said, you do know that St. Patrick wasn't Irish, don't you? Completely blew the mind. It's like, so why don't you point that out to the Irish on St. Patrick's Day? That St. Patrick isn't Irish, he was Welsh. He was Welsh. Well, what passed as Welsh at the time, he was a Welshman. So that blows their mind. They don't understand that. They don't get it because they're thick. They don't understand that argument that, yeah, so St. Patrick isn't Irish. That makes no difference. The Irish adopted him as their patron saint because he brought Christianity to Ireland. That's why they made him the patron saint. We made St. George our patron saint because we respected his courage and his strength. But it just goes over the mind because in their minds they think we're all racist. They think, oh well, if they find out that St. George wasn't really English, they'll not want to put flags up anymore. That's their logic. That's how they think about things. That's really, they're the bigoted ones. They're the racist ones. Because most of us, I don't give a crap who St. George was. You know, he's part of our culture and our traditions. Simple as that. Doesn't make any difference where he's from or who he was. We respected him because of characteristics he had. Good characteristics, strength and honour. And as English people, we respect that. Strength and honour, it's what we respect. They just can't get through their head though. They can't compute that, you know, because if they admitted that they're wrong, they would have to admit that we're not racist, which we're not. We're not racists. We're not racist. We're not bigoted. We're not anything they claim we are. They are. They're the hateful ones. They're the bigoted ones. They're the people that talk about race non-stop all the time about absolutely everything. This is another argument as well. I'm a bit of a rant now. This is another argument they bring up as well. They think that because we've been talking about Muslim grooming gangs, that we accept white grooming gangs. It's like, no. The only reason we talk about Muslim grooming gangs is because they're more prominent. They're more widespread. They were covered up. White grooming gangs tend to be treated, they're found out, they're investigated, they're arrested. The reason everybody's talking about the Muslim grooming gangs is because they were covered up for decades and thousands upon thousands of girls were not given justice. That's why we talk about the Muslim grooming gangs. And the fact of the matter is, we hate all paedophiles, any sexual predators. We hate them all regardless of skin colour, religion, gender or whatever. A normal sane person will condemn everybody like that. It's the same. There was another lunatic that posted a white guy with a knife, and it's like, what will the right say about this? It's like as if it's some kind of gotcha moment. It's not a gotcha moment. It's just the default position of every sane person that if you're a maniac going out stabbing people with a knife, then yeah, I condemn you, and I shouldn't have to say that because it's the default position of any sane person on the planet that you're dead against and condemn people that go out and stab people. It's just common sense. But yeah, I say common sense, but these people haven't got common sense, have they? They've lived most of their life in a liberal bubble, a liberal echo chamber. Probably not lived life because mummy and daddy have paid everything for them. They've never had hardship. They've never had to deal with crisis situations. They tottle off to university for a few years and come away and think they know absolutely everything when they know nothing because they've got like those two girls. Like I said to them in the video, you've got no life experience. You've got nothing. You've got nothing to base your opinions on because you need experience for that. You need to be out in the real world, experiencing the world, and then you can come back and form an opinion on things. But all they've done, they've gone to university, their Marxist lecturer has spoon-fed them a load of rubbish. They've just took that as being the truth because they don't challenge anything, they don't think about anything themselves, they don't question what they're being told. This is why people call them sheep, because that's basically what a sheep is. It just does as it's told. It doesn't question anything, it just does as it's told. And it believes everything that it's told. And that's basically university students. They're not taught to critically think, they're not taught to research anymore. It's like we tell you what to think. And it's the same with schools and colleges. It's exactly the same thing. This is why we've got generations of absolute morons that believe that if you go into a pub wearing a mask, then it's okay to wear it while you're standing up. But if you stand down, you're completely safe. You sit down, you're completely safe, because the virus can't infect you now because you sat down. That's the generation of morons that have been bred in our society. And this is why we're in this situation we're in now, because vast swaths of the Marxists, the leftists, are absolutely thick. They're thick. You know, like I said, they've got this false sense of intellectual superiority that when you test that, they fall. That they are weighed and they are found wanting regarding that. And they just sound like absolute morons. Anyway, I've talked enough. We're coming to the end of the path. This is Vindicator. Sign off. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this recorded as well.